everyone. We are live, hot mic on Four Guys Recorders with a very special guest, Matt Hill, who's done some amazing voices, and a lot of people may remember him from Ed and Eddy, one of the greatest shows of our childhood ever that was ever created and voiced by these amazing dudes. But real quick, before we let the guest talk about himself, I'm just going to introduce the panel super fast. We have Mav on from aka Fun Speculation, who is from Xbox Ultimate. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? I'm excited. Let's go.
All right, we have Jared, aka Jokey Pants, who's probably one of the biggest Ed and Eddy fans of all time.
You have no idea how nervous I am.
And we have Gaz, who probably hasn't slept in about 15 weeks now.
I'm awake. I'm awake because the guy used to scream, "Butter toast is on the show," so I'm ready to jump into the sauce, baby. You know what I'm like.
Well, Matt, thank you for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to get to talk to you. You know, you're an icon from our generation, and you've done many other things as well. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Fellas, thank you for having me and Ed on the show. Okay, we could discuss some buttered toast, maybe possibly some gravy, and maybe also other of your favorite things. Okay, so it is an honor to be here, fellas. Thanks for having me, and once again, this lovable character from the Eds. I tell you, I feel so blessed. See, it's like every time it gives me goosebumps because I feel very fortunate to get to, I guess, lay claim to being let loose with this this crazy character on the world. So thanks. I don't take it lightly, and yet I take it lightly because sometimes it's what you got to do, right? It's awesome. So thank you so much, guys.
I always wondered, Matt. Sorry, Klaus, if you're okay for me to jump in.
Sure. No, go ahead.
Did you say Klaus?
Klaus.
Klaus now. He's like, Klaus.
Klaus. That's going to be his new name now. It's going to stick.
Do you ever get to fathom, or do you think you can fathom the impact you've had on? I don't think you ever will appreciate or understand that, just because it's so impactful. You're talking to a mid-30s guy who's saying butter toast.
Yeah. You know what's really wild, guys? I think what I realized was, I think I alluded to the fact that we ran around North America on a completely different thing, which was a tour to inspire environmental action and to have kids believe in themselves, right? But I never thought that being the voice of Ed would so much catalyze this ability to be able to instantly walk into your guys' schools when you guys were just little young whippersnappers, and go oh, who wants to save the planet with Ed? And and it was you did 2,000 kids and their teachers going wow, oh my God, ah! It was amazing, right? And so that's called the instant feedback loop, where I really thought, oh wow, I think I get it, right? Because I wasn't I never read the industry papers. I could barely talk and walk and act at the same time, right? So so for me, that was that when people said, no, for real, Eds are really popular, I had no idea, right?
Okay.
And so here we are 30, how many, I don't even know how old are we now?
Yeah, we're really old.
Oh,
I'm 37.
37, yeah,
Yeah.
It's it's pretty crazy, so like I said, and honestly, it was everything about that show was firsts for all of us. First time a show had 9 official callbacks, right, which are unheard of.
What does that mean? Sorry, what do you mean by callbacks?
Oh, okay, so before you actually have the job, before the producer or the director, in this case Danny Antonucci, who is the creator of this show, before he heard what he knew he needed to hear, we just kept getting called back and called back. So we'd be back in the studio. So we knew we were getting close when the three Eds, who would turn out to be like me and Sam and Tony, when all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, there's no one else coming back for these. We're reading for these. But yet, like, imagine like you guys being like the producers, and we're like, they're just going, I don't know, just do the lines and be funny or make it better. Or like Danny was just like, you know, he as he'd said, it wasn't until he heard whatever he was looking to hear.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I was blessed because I somehow like can I swear?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
It's my show now, apparently.
I fucked up a take. Well, I was so frustrated because I didn't know what to do, and I actually tapped the mic and I went like boom, 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 and I see the engineer going like, what are you doing? Right? And I'm like, oh, excuse me, how do you get water from this thing here? And I just hit the mic, and then I see Danny go, oh my God, what is it? And he's like pointing to the guy, the engineer, right? And I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm fired before I'm even hired. He goes, that's him, that's Ed. I'm like, what's Ed? He's like, that's Ed, do that, just do that. And you know, and so for 13 of the first episodes, every time I would get off the voice, he'd be like, yeah, play the thing. So then I'd hear this, oh, how do you get water from this thing? So Ed was born.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, it was it's we bled for that show. It was beautiful. It was
Well, that was the show I run. We went over the history about Ed and Eddy because it was something that was very big for all of us growing up.
yeah.
And as far as like the callbacks, Ed and Eddy itself was very much that same concept. Cartoon Network always wanted people to do a pilot. You had to go through their specific Hanna-Barbera, and Danny was the first show on there to be pulled in. He gave them a pitch with no full episode, just like, here's my intro, this is my idea, and they were just like, we'll take it. And it was that moment that like the cartoons were born, was like his show, this Ed and Eddy show out of nowhere, just established everything.
Yeah. You nailed it, dude. It was like we were imagine being us. We're just actors. We're just like, okay, talk. Like, you know, when they say shut up, we shut up. And, you know, and like when they say be funnier, right? Or, you know, like dance monkey, right? It's so, you know, to be able to kind of in a way be at the bottom of this thing starting out to then like literally, oh, and I mean also too, we kind of knew that it was getting popular, but you got to remember again, actors, we're just happy, like, you know, people like our stuff.
Just to be in the job.
Yeah. But you know, we didn't really know how popular it really was until the producers started sending like kind of little bit more expensive Christmas gifts. Or like a little bit more, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden kind of hit me one day going like, oh, this show's huge, right? It's like, cause someone told me, I was doing a movie in London, England, and someone there found out I was, you know, the voice of Ed. And so same thing, they're like, oh my God, you're doing this thing, right? So I'm like, oh, how are you, buddy? And it was amazing because then they said no, they're like this thing's around the world, right? It's you know, I was just like, it's big.
Yeah, that for me, that was, I would say, the golden age of Cartoon Network for me. Like, I think that was the best time and best lineups of shows. And
that's what a lot of people say, you know. It's
I think that's when it became popular, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really popular before then.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know, it's again, and it's like anything, right? It's for some reason, I mean, and you know, I mean, I gotta hand it to, you know, Danny as a creator of it. I mean, sometimes we literally felt like we bled for him, and at the same time, we had that loyalty because we knew how invested he was in the show, as well as everyone else that was a part of the show. It was like this full on. Sometimes it was the greatest experience ever because we, you know, like the same thing. We left going like, oh my God, we just made something really cool. And other days we're going like, I hate everybody because, you know, like one of us inadvertently would get like completely, you know, like it's your turn today, you know, no, do it again. No, that sucked. Do it better. Right. So you know, I think Ed holds the record for, I think I did like 15 takes of like, you know, what do you mean, Eddy? Right? And I was like, see, it still gives me.
So for me personally, I wasn't like as like into the at that age. I think I was already like 17-ish or so, around when that was popular.
Yeah.
But I saw that you voiced Raphael.
Yo, yo, yo. I got
So
blessed.
that is like, that's huge for me,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I had no idea. Like I knew the Ed and Eddy stuff, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and then some of the shows and stuff.
Yeah,
That has to be kind of really cool for you to be associated with as well, right?
dude, totally. Yeah, thanks for that, because it's like same thing, right? It's like I'm always coming from the actor's standpoint of going like I've just really felt really blessed to be invited to play in a bunch of different sandboxes, right? And so when I got to do the Ninja Turtles, for me it was the same thing, because I'm I got to basically jump in this suit and like use my athletic abilities and act blind, deaf, and dumb for 4 months with three other guys that were the turtles, and like have this cool experience where same thing. I had no idea how popular the turtles were, right? Except for every time we would have like a little bit of break in filming, it would be all I'd hear is my puppeteer, who was Snuffleupagus' puppeteer for in Sesame Street. I know
nice.
that's I was like, dude, this is so cool. But we knew it was really popular when between takes, and we'd have a bit of a break. I'd hear through my muffled, like thing in my head. I hear, Matt, yeah, there's about 25 kids in their family, because you can't, like, you're acting blind, deaf, and dumb. You can't see, right? So I would just put my arm out, and it'd be like lower. Okay, yep, there. Okay, I made human contact, and then there's all these pictures that we just kept taking with like hundreds and hundreds of fans, right? So it was kind of cool.
I have a story about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So
boy.
I guess from the research that Mav did, because Mav looked you up too, because he was curious. He's like, "Oh, what has Mav been in?" And when he found out that you dressed up as, I believe it was Michelangelo, right, Matt? Or right, Mav?
Raphael.
Okay.
Hey, a Teenage
So-
Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Can't confuse Raphael for Michelangelo.
Listen,
For real. Just
Well,
such
red is the
a
closest
thing.
one to
It's
orange.
okay, guys.
so.
He just didn't know. It's okay.
I hit my 40s. Okay, I hit my 40s. So
you're such a baby.
Such a baby.
I really wanted the soundtrack to the first movie, because like we would hear the Turtle Power song on the radio, and I loved that song. And my dad at the time, he was like really well known in the state of Pennsylvania. He had like several pizzerias, and he knew somebody from the record industry. And I actually got the cassette tape for the TMNT soundtrack a couple days early, let's say.
Wow.
And I was blasting Turtle Power,
Wow.
on delivery drives as the shotgun, as sitting in the shotgun seat.
Everyone's like, what? That's hilarious.
He consummated his marriage to the soundtrack.
There you go. Yeah. Well, you mean was it the one like Oingo Boingo? That was in our version, but I think you're talking about the first one, wasn't it?
The first one, I think.
So you took over on 3, and then also you did the voice on the one of the newer cartoons in the 90s, and not the original, but the follow up to that.
The Fox Kids one, yeah.
And you've done some. Have you done other Raphael stuff since then?
No, it's funny because and I'm I was so honored that they offered me, obviously, say like, you know what, we'd love you to be a part of the Fox Kids one. And I was like, yeah. I mean, for me, it felt like a nice little kind of loop on this character to tie it up, because getting to be inside the suit and do this like kabuki theater acting, and bring it to the screen that way. It was neat to be able to lend my voice to it. And then third time was gonna be it was what was it? I think it was for NBC, and it was a classic 3-episode long form, like a what do you call it, made for TV miniseries that they had the script for it. And I still, fellas, I thought, it would have been so cool And I was going to do it. We were going to, basically do the same. We were going to shoot in Vancouver. And then about a month before production started, they pulled the plug on it. So, but it was the Turtles 15 years later. So they were all like in their early 20s. So, Raphael was like owned like I don't even remember what he did for work. I think
He had a job.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he was a security. Mikey had a pizza joint.
Yeah, Mikey had to have something to do with pizza.
Oh, totally. So, so to like the script, and I thought, oh my God, you guys, this is brilliant, right? And so unfortunately, someone went like, nah,
that sucks because I think that would resonate.
Yeah, that really does.
Yeah,
Power
I think
Rangers.
Power Rangers were more popular in the moment, I think.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
You've had some pretty insanely diverse roles. Is this correct that you this is correct because I'm watching a reel of it right now. You're in Shanghai Knights.
What?
That's
in Shanghai Knights? What? Who's that? Yeah, I got to be with
Jackie Chan.
He was so much fun to work with.
What is he like? Was he really nice?
He's like the nicest guy in the whole world. English was, as I'm sure you guys know, was a huge. It was like his second language late in life, right?
Yeah,
or mid-life, let's say. And it was amazing because he picked it up so quickly. But he also his assistant, she would have his lines written in Cantonese, and phonetics, so that every time it was his POV to me or my POV to him, right? I'd have this chalkboard with his lines. So he would be like, oh yeah, what about that Shanghai kid? And so his what do you call it? His rhythm was also because he was literally trying to figure out what he was saying and act at the same time.
That's insane.
He was just so cool. Yeah. And between takes, he literally would pick everything up and he would just like not Google it. He would juggle it.
Google.
So he Googled everything he touched. Isn't that crazy?
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's
so it was neat. I spent 4 days hanging out with like he was like, for me, he was the biggest sort of, I guess in that respect, legend that I'd ever gotten to, sort of act alongside. And I felt pretty honored. And it was a pretty special experience. Yeah.
I bet, man. Let alone meeting him is one thing, but having starred with him, you're in the history books. And I watched Shanghai Knights so many times as a kid.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Yeah,
you've also done. You had parts with G.I. Joe, Transformers, X-Men.
Literally our childhood.
Seriously.
That's insane. That is so insane to be able to claim that.
Thanks for watching the shows.
And thanks for being the voice. It's just surreal to me that we're talking to you now. It's like it's COVID. We're all stuck in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And here's this guy whose voice was in our cochlea or eardrums as little kids, and we had no idea. Like, had such a big part of
it's kind of wild. Yeah, I know. It's I find it's also really, I mean, I think you nailed it. Being able to, I think in this way, also connect with people that it's been sort of like, it's been such a huge part of people's lives, right?
Yeah.
That's why for me, I just, anytime people ask, would you come on the show? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, man. That voice should not arouse me, but because but that's incredible, man. Like I don't. This is one of those moments for us. I'm sure all of us lads that we're not gonna forget. It's gonna be like we spoke. It's just mad. It's just mad. I can't quite.
Raphael was always my favorite. So like,
Raphael was my favorite, man.
Yeah. You guys, thanks, guys. This is
and a lot of people
ego is like this big. My rate just went up. How much are you guys paying me? My rate went up. Okay? Next time, and they're like, "Oh, look at the time. We gotta go."
Carlo will sort out the payment. That's all fine. Carlo, good luck with that.
At the age I was at, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was like actually my favorite because it was kind of out there and fun, right?
Yeah.
Like because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 was kind of dark when you're that young, right?
How
And I
old
was
were
pretty
you?
young when that one came out. So when Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles
yeah.
3 came out, it was like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a breath of fresh air.
Well,
I thought
you
it
know,
was
you
that.
nailed it. I think because they really, I mean, I liked the first one only because that's how I got the gig, because I had to learn the fight
Yeah.
scene between Raphael and Casey Jones, like, you know, the Jose Canseco bat scene.
Yeah.
I learned that thing like 18 times of Sunday. So like I knew how he was breathing to, you know, to get the part. And it was amazing because the producers said that they felt the same way, that, you know, when sort of number 3 came out, it allowed the cartooniness of number 2, but at the same time it was just serious enough that, you know, it kind of honored the first one or whatever, right? But
you had to kind of do a Brooklyn accent almost for that, right? And you're Canadian, and it's I'm guessing you're Canadian.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, so it's like, you know, I'm like, oh, Seiko bat, hey, oh yeah, I did a lot of that. I was like, hey, how you doing? What? So it was good fun that way. But yeah, I mean, I could have, you know, I mean, it's funny. I think Ed and Raphael, and then just recently a cartoon called Dino Trucks. I could have played those 3 characters probably till like the good Lord takes me home at like 104. You know, they just like wheel me into the studio, and I'll be like, oh, I just pooped myself, sorry.
And we wouldn't get bored of it either, because I find it surreal. Like,
Dino Trucks. That's on Netflix. I've seen that.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's like that same thing where it's been such a thrill for me. Like, say, like, so as you know, like these new kids and like, so my friends, that they've had their kids every generation, it's been so neat to be able to walk up behind them and be like, you know, hello, how are you doing? Right? You know, right? You know, for Dino Trucks, same thing, right? It's like, you know, these like couple, you know, like 3-year-olds are just like, what? But then they're trying to figure out, like, that voice just came out of you, but now I'm watching TV. Like, what's the deal, right?
That's amazing.
It's kind of cool.
So
I have
yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Oh, I have a question. I was gonna say, when you did Ed, were you ever allowed to improvise your lines?
Ooh.
Oh my God, you just brought back, like, I have PTSD from, like, we basically got like, do not improvise. I will tell you when to breathe, when, you know, it was like literally, Danny had that show so in his head that the improvising that we got to do was like literally like take a breath before we had to do the next line.
Really?
I was like, oh yeah. Oh, like we like basically, but yet I'll say it at the same time, there was such a freedom in that too, because I think I understand now, it's taken me 20 years or whatever, that he had it so dialed in on what he wanted it to sound like, that I know that's why a lot of the time we would just get brutalized with so many takes. But because he didn't want to go back and try and sort of make it work later, we're like, let's make it work now, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah. That's surely quite rare to have someone who has such a fixed idea of what it needs to be.
Yep.
That's how he recognized you, isn't it? When you did that little thing with the microphone, or whatever, he just knew. That's so weird.
And that's what I mean, right? So that's why, you know, we all literally, I say that we pled for him sometimes, because we knew that sometimes it was maddening, because we literally are going like, you know, even I'm thinking like, dude, I'm a hard worker, but really, come on, this is like take 30, and you know, you're just wanting me to go like, hi, Eddy, right? And he's like, no, more energy. We're like, I can't.
Nice.
But then we'd finish, and it would just be like, okay. See you guys next week. Bye. Right? You know,
that's amazing. It's a good insight to that. Do you still chat to him?
I hate them all.
You hate them all.
Did I say that live? Are we live?
I might be a little.
Somebody just clipped it. It's now going viral on Twitter.
It's like this. It's like,
it's all over the place.
No, they're like, they're some of my most closest peeps on the planet. They're Tony and Sammy. They're like my brothers.
Oh man!
And everybody, right? It's like, you know,
man. We gotta get him up. We gotta get him Sorry, I'm excited.
What is he saying, fellas? What? What did he say? Come on.
I think he's having a convulsion. I don't know.
He's
having a convulsion like Nana does at night. Yeah.
Do you want? Who do you want? Did you say a character? Did you want somebody to come on your show?
I think he's having a late reaction to you coming on the show. This is
that too. Yes, that definitely that too. No, I'm so excited because like Ed and Eddy Eddy meant so much to me. You know, I was a little bit older than Mav, but to be honest with you, when my daughter was born in 2002, and a lot of times when she was watching Teletubbies, I would switch it over for Ed and Eddy. Because it was just a lot more fun to watch as a parent. With
do you know how we started watching it? My youngest brother was watching it, and my middle brother came in. It was like, and he came into the scene. And I kid you not, this is why I kept saying butter toast, because he came in. We just sat there. This is an awkward moment because he's watching it. Butter toast, and my middle brother goes, "What is this shit? Why are you watching it?" And then since then, all three of us started watching it, and we were just waiting for that line. And it became, it's just like, and we still to this day, we're like, remember how you used to make fun of it? You still loved it. And he's like the biggest one. He would just love it. It's just like, it looks stupid, but then oh man, it's so good. The guy, whoever creates that stuff, man, it's just got to be another level. Either that, they're really a genius, or they do a lot of LSD, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe, I can honestly say it wasn't definitely wasn't that kind of a recording studio for sure. But it was crazy like that though, because that's where, and again, that's why I think we realized if we were going to continue to be gainfully employed on the show, it was like step up and like find an even more creative way to get a pass on the line, right, kind of thing. And in cartoons, it's normal that you usually have like pickup sessions like a few months down the road when they're editing the shows, and they realize that scene didn't work, or that those words kind of just didn't work. We never had pickups on Ed and Eddy, which is unheard of, right? So same thing. It's like an homage to like it was like he let it go when he heard what he needed to hear, and everyone else accordingly just like drew, created, and it was pretty cool. I was about to say well, that's what happens. My brain it's gone. If it comes back, I'll say, oh, I got it.
Speaking of lines that have stuck with people, my friend Anthony, his favorite line of that whole show that he still uses to this day, his father likes to play cribbage.
Yeah.
So he uses the same line every time, and his father still does not understand it. But every time he's like, Anthony, you want to play cribbage? And he'll just be like, cribbage gives me gas. And then he'll just walk away, and his dad will be like, that's cabbage. What are you talking about? Every time.
Cribbage gives me gas. It's like, see, they stick, right? That's the thing. It's I got blessed to just like be able to speak these lines and do it a way that I think resonated. Thank God. It's it's the first cartoon too that the producer said, because usually, you guys, an actor, you got to learn your lines, or you got to, you work the scenes out, you're the thing. And and that's where, honestly, because I was like working it so hard, and then the director came like, maybe after the first like 3 or 4 episodes, and just said, I'm only going to tell you in private, because you can't tell the other guys. But for Ed, you're thinking about it too much. So we're going to let you know that from this like day forward, do not read your script, do not prepare it. So to an actor, it's just like, peacock, what do you mean?
That sounds weird to me.
I have to prepare, right? And but it's interesting because they wanted Ed to always feel like he's just literally flying from left field or from underneath, or kick my feet as he comes and says something stupid, right? But it's not just dumb; it was just so authentic, right? So and it was wild. It took me a while to just go like, "Are you guys fucking with me?" Because like you're just trying to, you know what I mean? So yeah, and they're like, no, we just want, I mean, so we got these storyboards. And so I would look at the storyboard, so I kind of know what the show was, what it was gonna do or whatever. But the actual lines, I never read the script because so it's just
Wow.
yeah, it was
That's amazing. There's so many good lines in there.
Well, he gave me so much freedom, right? I mean, but the funny thing was when I messed it up, I completely like it was just like so it would be like, no, right? Shut up, right? Or like, oh, sorry, right? So
that's surely a testament to Danny's like genius in that.
Yeah.
Because I would have never thought it would have been such an intensely creative process during the voice recording. Like, don't read the script, don't tell anyone else. It's like a little chess game that's playing. Danny's playing in his head.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because like Double D, he's just, his like whole thing is just like messy, right? So Sam's really like that too. FYI, sorry. But so because his character's so this way, he had to read the lines so that like literally he could already figure out how he's gonna, build up to the big like, ad, right? And I mean, Tony is literally like a cardboard cutout. I think he's a soul child from Danny in Another Life. I mean, Eddy is just so Tony just like, it's brilliant, and so but same thing, right? We all got our own instructions on how we were going to play these characters, right? So it was cool. It was fun it was a fun sandbox to play in for the however many episodes we did. It was pretty cool.
Did you miss it?
Oh,
I miss I miss the regularity of like that, being able to come in and work the chops, but also expand the acting range at the same time, and then know that you're doing a show that's like a really, it's like reaching a lot of people, right? So but I mean, I think over the years people have said, are they gonna do, maybe again or whatever, and it's that same old thing, right? It's like I think now I don't think it would fly as well, because sometimes you just gotta let it be that magic of what it was in that time frame, right? So
Agreed.
It's like you say, because I think, oh God, I mean, I don't even know if I could like sustain, banging my head against the wall all the time. The concussions I got
from Danny. Wow.
The amounts of times I passed out,
No, are you serious? I can't even tell if you're joking.
Actually, I did pass out once because I screamed so. It was in the what was it, the episode, the Lothar, what the heck was it? The like the like a Lothar, and I had to do this like big like a big yell, and I did it, but I had to do it like 5 or 6 times, so I needed to get a lot of air. And as soon as we finished, I was like, I'm seeing stars, and I just like
well, Matt, I think I know what you said, that it had its time and its place, but there's a lot of fans on this channel that watch us, of Ed and Eddy, and I don't know if you know this, but we actually had a Cartoon Network writer on the show not that long ago, Kelsey Abbott. So now I'm sure somebody's going to try to petition her and say, bring back Ed and Eddy.
I'm not saying we wouldn't do it. I just think
it takes a lot out of you guys.
Yeah, well, I don't think Danny would do it now either, because I think that's why I had a lot of respect too, because I think I think if I heard him correctly, he kind of was like, let's go out when it's like we're still kind of right up there, so that it's not like it doesn't just kind of
linger
off over, so
how about you take that Ninja Turtle idea and then put them like 20 years in the future, and they all are like way older, bring them back in that way.
Single D would be in the car home, and he would be like in front of it. So it's like, what are you gonna
do? What do you see yourself to? I know you mentioned Dino Trucks, but what would you like to have done that you regret on a project that you love? Like, oh, that would be a sick project for me to be in, or something that you think you would have been really good at lending your take on.
Well, I mean, people say that I'm a nice guy and that I'm always taking the high road, and I go like, we're meant to get the roles we're meant to get,
Yeah.
If we're talking honestly here, fellas,
Yeah.
every freaking role that was ever created by any actor or actress, I should have played.
Agreed.
Thank you. Can you guys call my agent?
I will.
Be like, we think Matt should get everything.
Which actor do you hate the most?
Everyone that gets the part that I don't get, I hate them. I don't know. Hate's a strong word. It's funny. I mean, I guess honestly, the cheesy truth is, I just do actually feel really fortunate that the ones that I got, I was so meant to get them, right?
Yeah.
And the ones I didn't get, I so wasn't meant to get them, right? It's because there was a few that I read for that I was like, oh, that would be so much fun to play that character or whatever. Movies and cartoons.
What's the biggest role you ever read for that you didn't get?
Ooh.
The love interest in Baywatch. No, I'm just kidding.
Baywatch.
I had you going though, didn't I? You know what's funny? They did. Remember when Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure first came out?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And when it went like bananas, they were gonna do a series. They were gonna do. I think it was on Fox. I think. But I remember getting a call, and I went down to Seattle for the auditions because they that's where they were holding them, and I thought, man, that would be so much fun to play the whatever the other character, the other guy. The blonde hair at the time.
Ted.
Is that Ted? Yeah, I think it's Ted.
I think it's
Ted.
The
other guy.
Or maybe it's Bill. I don't know.
one of them. I wanted to play 50%. But that I thought would have been a fun franchise to be a part of if I had meant to get the show. But then I watched it. I think they did a season of it, I think. And I don't think it was very funny. But
okay. I never watched it.
That's because you weren't on it.
So I was gonna say, to the narcissist in me, it's just because I wasn't on it.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's and there was a Western series. I can't even remember the name of it. They shot it actually in Bragg Creek, which was with the same area that we shot Shanghai Knights. And I was thinking, man, if I get this series, I get to not only play like a cowboy who's kind of like he was kind of the character in Shanghai Knights, but a little more bumbling, which would have been so fun. And I would have got to go and hang out in Bragg Creek a lot more, but I didn't get it.
Oh man.
Oh.
So I just have one more thing with some of the deep diving I did, because I knew Ed and my buddy Anthony knew Ironhide from Transformers. We're all collaborating on what are all these things he's done.
Yeah.
And I happen to find that it has you credited for Street Sharks. And that was a show that nobody would ever believe us that it existed when we were growing up. And we're like, no, I swear to God, it was like Ninja Turtles, but they were Street Sharks, and it was awesome. And I saw you were named in that.
Awesome. Yeah, I played a guy named Job. Same thing, right? It's instead of instead of cowbunga, dude, it was just like awesome.
Yes.
It was same thing, right? It's and it's funny, you never know, because I don't think we how many. I think we only did 2 seasons of that, maybe.
I believe there was only about 2 seasons.
Yeah. So, but it's still, I still got emails from people, it's like, hey, Job, what's up? Awesome, dude, or whatever. So it's, I guess I passed the audition. So,
I know that your time is limited today, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And
we gotta get to more stuff, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's squeeze the juice out of him. Let's go.
I have some questions before we run out of time.
It's Carlos' time now.
So, first of all, how would Matt Hill, the voice actor, of Ed, imagine Ed saying Four Guys with Quarters?
He would probably. What was the question?
How would you say how would Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddy say four guys with quarters?
He would say, you bet your sweet Bippy. Yep, four guys with quarters. Yep. And a chicken. Don't forget about the chicken.
That's sick. There you got your clip, Carlos. That's going on the
God.
He can consummate his marriage again now.
Did you guys know he was Tenderheart in Care Bears?
Did you know? How did you know that?
IMDb is powerful. Tenderheart.
See, I'm so dyslexic. I go like IBD.
That's like the lead character in Care Bears.
Dude, thanks for finally someone freaking notices it. All the Care Bears are like
now,
so popular. That really is Tenderheart.
If I tell my sister that, you're gonna get a lot of fan emails from her.
Oh, that's so great. Well, you know what's amazing, you guys? Like once again, when we did our tour around North America, when we went into schools, same thing, right? It would be like, hey, yo, who wants to save the planet with Ralph? And and I'd be like, yeah, and who wants to, help the planet too with Ed? And then I'd be like, yeah, and this one's for the ladies. Hi, girls. Right? It was so cool to be able to authentically show up as Tenderheart, right? And so nice. It was just like gifts, thank you. So, that was fun. And it was funny to say, and it's okay if you guys are screaming too, that's okay. It's all right.
That's crazy. The generational thing has changed now. Do you think the younger kids now would recognize those IPs, or is that us adults, isn't it? I
think it's I think it's both, right? Because I think with I think HBO Max I just heard is playing the Eds right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's one of those things again, but it's just so different because look at kids now. We can binge watch a whole, like 18,000 episodes in like however much time you want. So I don't know whether it would be sort of like that long sustained,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have no idea, right? That's to me.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, it's like a very
Well,
different kind of viewing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have no idea.
Don't worry, man. I didn't subscribe for the Snyder Cut. I subscribed for the Ed, and Eddy.
Oh, Ed boys first every time. Come
Ed boys
Yeah.
all the way. Thank you, fellas.
But
Ed boy.
I do know that you are doing some like special things right now. You're trying to connect people and do different things. And I know that, we only got about 8 minutes left, but I wanted you to talk about, currently what you are currently working on, what you currently do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I decided after, I call it like the big go around in North America, which was my organization called Run for One Planet. Just before COVID-19 decided to visit us as a planet, I was about to go and, basically do another go around. And I was going to start by going across Canada first. So instead of not doing anything, I thought, you know what, I can still do something. So I've been doing a marathon every time I go out. And I started on Earth Day, April 22nd of last year. Just, I think it was a few weeks after sort of we all went into lockdown in terms of, having to stay local. So in that way, I said, okay, I may not be going across, Canada and then around the States in real time, but I could still do it on my feet locally. So I'm now on day 160 something. And I'm about almost 5,600 kilometers into it. So I'm so bad at math, but that is anybody good at math? But anyhow, that's essentially, if you look at the map of Canada, I started in Vancouver, and right now on my mile or my kilometers, I'm in not Nova Scotia. Probably into about Nova Scotia now. So
and when did you start this?
I started it on April 22nd.
Jeez.
April 22nd, 2020. Yeah. So it's but it's wild because like I definitely know at the end of every day, I'm like, I've done, I'm like, wow, okay, I did another marathon or close to. but yet I'm like, I didn't leave the city. So it's really wild to know, but my calves every day and my feet are like, my girlfriend's like, oh, your feet just break all the time. My shoes live at the front door outside, right? So it's so I definitely know I've done it, but it's an odd, but yet it feels super fulfilling because, same thing. It was like a neat way to be able to feel like I was going on another tour. And at the same time, I still get to do the voices that I get to do. So, inadvertently, because I love people. So I've gotten to talk to lots of people along the way. They just happen to be in this sort of 42-kilometer, stretch of pavement that I go back and forth on. So the familiarity factor is just, it's been such a gift, right? Because, I hear, I'll hear cars going by going beep, beep, and a fist in the air, and it's not a finger, it's a fist. It's but then, and other people will be like, how far are you going now? And I'll, yell out my day or my mileage or whatever. Right. And so it feels like it feels pretty sweet to be able to know I'm, kind of in a way about to finish. I'm within spitting distance of 7,200 kilometers, which I'll be finishing on.
I wish you could actually do the whole actual thing so you could see you travel from like Vancouver to.
Well, you know what, you guys, that's where, I mean, you talk about like where does your heart live, right? For me, that's it. It's like being able to, go out and do this. So my big, hairy, audacious goal and dream is to do another, around North America, so that, same thing. I get to be out there every day, but at the same time, I get to connect with another generation of kids, and yes, the big kids too. Right. Because to me, that's, I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I think more than ever, we need to feel like we're all feeling a lot better about things. Right.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
definitely agreed.
Like, it's, I mean, I know John Lennon probably said it a lot better, so I'll leave, his words.
No, but he didn't do it in Ed and Eddy's voice. If you do it now, then you overcome it.
Imagine there's a heaven.
Oh, God.
it would be a good escape as well.
Yeah, Ed would say like, okay, everybody, make out now. Okay, dance. Dance. Hug. So it's for me, that's, yeah. So that's, so I'm saying a little prayer every night saying, okay, if I get my COVID-19 vaccine so that, I can stamp it in my passport, and they'll, and if the great state of America will have a Canadian again, named Matt Hill, that's what I aim to do.
Just tell them you're Raphael and you're,
I know.
Oh
my God, you just totally nailed it. This is probably one of the coolest border experiences I've consistently had, going through to go to conventions or to go to LA for different stuff, and to go to the airport and literally like that, because the guys go, that's their job, right? They're like stone faced, like like basically like, who the hell are you, right, kind of thing, right? And so when all of a sudden they'll go like, well, what's this entertainment industry, like what, like what, sorry, I always put on a Southern accent, I have no idea what, but but he's like basically going like, so what, what are you doing, right? And I'll be like, oh, well, I've been in a couple popular ones or whatever. And so I'll say like, do you have kids? And, same thing, right? I'd say like, hey, have you ever seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? So he'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, hey, Cowabunga, dude, right? And you see him go like, what the fuck? Our buddy Ed, right? I'd be like,
yeah, and then he searches you and pulls these size out of your bag.
Yeah, it was amazing because literally one of the coolest experiences I had at the border was like that. The guy was like, he had like a full on, he's like, I'm not gonna let this human affect me until I went into like Tenderheart, because I think maybe his wife or something or his kid or liked it, and then literally something clicked in him and he went like, you're a good guy, right on, thanks for doing what you do, and he stamped my passport and he's like, welcome to America, son, right?
Stay.
Yeah, so it's cool, right? Because like even border guards, they got the toughest job in the world probably, right? It's like, like they're getting inundated all the time with stuff.
Yeah.
Right, so I get it. It's so to me, that's, if you can make a border guard like turn into like a 10-year-old, and then and make a 10-year-old continue to be a 10-year-old in that moment, that's, to me, that's just like, job well done, you bet your sweet Beppy.
Yeah, man. That if only we could lay claim to something like that. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like, because really, right, I think to me that's an answer to, I think, when you guys were saying like this, for whatever reason, this show arrived at a time, or maybe a few of the shows that arrived in this time period when you guys were like kind of sucking in the marrow of your brain to go like, oh, what's cool, what do I love, what's these shows show, right? And it's just like, that's why I feel so grateful, because it's just like, I wouldn't get to do what I get to do if you guys hadn't just gone bananas over these shows, right? So
it's a surreal experience, man. Just like chatting to you about it, just like going back to, I watched every episode of that, and I've watched Shanghai Knights so many times. I've watched so many times.
Well, thank you,
real though.
Every time you watch Shanghai Knights, I get a residual check. So thank you. I think every time I get 62 cents or something, I think. So it's like, so thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for being such a big part of our childhood. Thank you for being so positive as well, man. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, did I say this? Yeah, I think the world sucks. Oh, sorry, Danny.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. You can say that. No, but
you almost got rid of him before you just like said something really just not good. Right?
Oh man. Oh,
well, fine. Everybody who's listening, due to his time, I gotta go ahead and stop the interview. But I want to thank you for coming.
Only because you need to go. We're pandering to your time restrictions.
What time is it? Oh, it's 4. It's 4:30, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what can I leave you with? If there was one more, like a, you know what I mean? Or they're like, no, dude, you said just don't shit the bed now. But if is there one thing that's like, I don't know, like
oh man, that's so much pressure right now. Don't even. I'm going to crumble, and then I'm going to regret it. I'm like, oh, why did you tell him to say this?
It was just an honor to be able to be invited to this, to a man that was a voice that inspired me to do the things that I'm doing now. And it was an honor.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's it works both ways, right? And because I always say that to like my accountant. It's like, I truly go, thank you for liking numbers, because I'm so dyslexic that numbers they mess with. Same with technology. Thank
liking
you for
numbers.
Doing your show, because you guys are lighting it up in the world, right? And that, to me, if I like literally, if did you see my mute button? If that mute button's going on, I'm so screwed, right? So so thank you for choosing your guys' brilliance to talk to people like me that get to talk for a long time too, right? So that's it's a win-win, brothers.
Well, thanks for living for joy and bringing amazing, joyous characters to life.
Oh, my pleasure.
And making us laugh during these crazy times, man.
Oh,
we need
yeah.
Yeah.
And
and also if you guys, I'm not sure the year. It's in the States. It's called Cameo, and they invited me because that's a really cool way. In that way is that I guess the owner of it was the same thing like you guys. He watched Ed and Eddy as a kid and he freaking loved it, right? So one day he's just like, I don't know, we need to get a few new people or whatever. And he goes, oh my God, I wonder if that guy, who played Ed would join Cameo, right? So he reaches out to me and I'm just like, yeah, are you kidding me? That's, same thing, right? It's just such a cool way to be able to, we never know who will impact in the positive, right? So I think that's, to me, that's probably the most important thing right now, especially as we roll out of, COVID, and be able to sort of go back out in the world. I'm determined. I was already a hugger and a high fiver. I'm like doubling up on it. I'm like, I'm gonna hug people so long and so like,
It's so true.
incredibly uncomfortably.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
I am doing the same, man.
You know what I mean? It's like I feel like I want to hug the world for like 2 years. Just be like, oh, it's so good to be back.
Serial hugger on the loose soon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You just go right for the butt, you know.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I did.
That's
Oh,
I just go to prison straight after lockdown.
You get a mighty 3-shoot beating if you do that, Eddy boy.
Totally.
Well,
But for real, guys, keep reaching for your dreams, and you know, because look at what happened, right? When you guys just said, "Hey, let's do this podcast." Like, so, you know, like, hats off to you guys. It's that's amazing. Did you see that? It's like,
I think you missed both your hands. It's so quite an achievement there.
thank you.
But thank you, honestly. Thank you.
yeah, man, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing some of those stories
Thank
and
you,
those
brother.
voices. And I mean, not only are you a natural actor, but you are also a comedian. So it was a lot of fun to talk to you. And you should have your own comedic special on like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and HBO Max.
Call my agent.
I will let them know.
Funny. He is
And
so funny.
And I will put the Ed, and Eddy series on HBO Max on repeat nonstop so you get residuals because it was awesome.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, guys. It's phenomenal.
Uh,
You guys are keeping me in buttered toast and lots of gravy, right? So, you know.
Yes.
And have you seen the price of it these days? Whoa. Wow. That's expensive. That's good.
It makes my nana cry.
Group hug.
Yeah, group hug.
I can tell this panel doesn't want to end it. I
I
know.
don't want
man.
to.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we got
Good
because I
thing
know
must
Matt's
come
got
to
other
an end.
stuff. So
Well, it's my podcast. It's another podcast that they're but I guess I can't. Oh, they can't call in to me because I did like you guys. I clicked into their link, so I'll click into their link. Yeah. So that's cool. But I definitely wanted to say your guys' backgrounds. Wow,
Yeah, man, it's amazing.
snazzy.
thank you. It's
Thanks.
designed by a guy on Twitter that is a good friend of ours, Jay. He calls himself Graphic Guide, and he is influenced by 80s and 90s cartoons and video games, and just loves everything that guys like you
Wow.
create.
Yeah. You know what my designer is called paint on brush.
Oh, my wife organized all this stuff behind me. I'm not
Wow,
gonna-
that's spectacular. All right, you guys. We'll say hi to the fans, and thank you, like, for real. Thanks for letting me have a great life in this on this side of things, man. So it's an honor.
Sure.
Matt, I'm gonna stop the stream, but I got one super quick question. It'll take a second for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody watching, we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming on. Everybody's links will be in the description, including his Cameo. I will find Matt's Cameo, put it there, and sign up for that and check it out because he is one cool dude. I wasn't gonna curse there, but I could have. He's one cool dude. All right. I'm gonna stop the stream, but thank you and come back next time, everybody in the chat.